At the Sports History Network, we're proud to introduce you to a new sponsor for our podcasts. It's Home Field Apparel, your premium collegiate apparel brand right out of Indianapolis. They've got incredibly comfortable t-shirts, plus they're officially licensed with vintage college designs. They have over 150 plus colleges available now and always adding more. Homefield digs through the archives and history of your school to find unique logos, mascots, and moments to make thoughtful designs for your school. When you shop today, new customers can get a 15% discount off their first purchase using the promo code SPORTSHISTORY at checkout. You can learn more at homefieldapparel.com.
The 1925 NFL football season, what an exciting and controversial time it was. Well, we have the story on our Football History Rewind, part number 57. Join us to find out what happened in 1925 in pro football.
This is the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch, a podcast that covers the anniversaries of American football events throughout history on a day-to-day basis. Your host, Darren Hayes, is podcasting from America's North Shore to bring you the memories of the gridiron, one day at a time. So as we come out of the tunnel of the Sports History Network, let's take the field and go no huddle through the portal of positive gridiron history with PigskinDispatch.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darren Hayes of PigskinDispatch.com. Welcome once again to the Pig Pen, your portal to positive football history. And as we are going through year by year, season by season football history in our Football History Rewind, we are at part number 57, and we're talking about the 1925 pro football season that year. A lot going on. But before we get to that story, just want to make sure that you know we have a daily email newsletter comes out telling you everything that's going on in Pigpen Sports. Pigskin Dispatch, what's happening on the website, PigskinDispatch.com, the podcast, JerseyDispatch.com, and the Sports Jersey Dispatch podcast, as well as our audio drama, Orville Mulligan Sports Writer, and many items that are coming out on the SportsHistoryNetwork.com. Everything in your email inbox every day, 6:30 a.m., 7 days a week, 365 a year. Catch up on your sports history. Now let's get into that football history from 1925. And the 1925 professional football story is a pretty interesting one. There was some deep interest of the National Football League brass to get franchises into some larger markets for means of survival and income for its participants and its franchises. Now, regions with larger populations would mean larger takes at the gate, as there should be more football fans to support the teams. So that was sort of the trend that was going on starting in 1925. With this in mind, 5 new franchises were awarded. Not all of them were big markets, but the first one, the New York Giants with Tim Mara and Billy Gibson as owners, well, that's a pretty big market. Can't get any bigger than that in the United States. The Detroit Panthers with Jimmy Conzelman as its head, a great player coach, good name to have there. Detroit, a pretty big city and growing at the time. The Pottsville Maroons in the Philadelphia area, not too shabby of a thing there. They were probably the best non-organized league team in professional football the year prior to that, so they were one of the best, had some claims to being the best around, and probably felt they could beat most of the NFL teams, so they joined in there to see what they could do. The Providence Steamroller, another really good team, East Coast, pretty large metropolis there, good city to be in, and a new version of the Canton Bulldogs 11. The returning franchises that year were the Akron Pros, Buffalo Bisons, Chicago Bears, Chicago Cardinals, Cleveland Bulldogs. We had 2 Bulldogs teams going on. The Columbus Tigers, Dayton Triangles, Duluth Kellys, Frankfurt Yellow Jackets, Green Bay Packers, Hammond Pros, Kansas City Cowboys, Milwaukee Badgers, Rochester Jeffersons, and the Rock Island Independents. Now, the league wanted a level playing field a bit too, as roster sizes were put in place for the very first time in NFL history. Each franchise that year in 1925 could have 16 players on their roster. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but remember, this is the era of single platoon football, small payrolls, and they were trying to level it out. So, people that had a lot of money, maybe the Chicago Bears had, a vast sum of money with George Halas and the big market they were in, playing against, the Rochester Jeffersons and, some of the Rock Island Independents that didn't have as big of a payroll. Try to make it a little bit fair. You can have 16 players on your roster, pay them. Now, the league, of course, was just tremendous with that many teams, and it was kind of well balanced, especially with these new rivals if possible, and some of their rivals from before. Frankfurt Yellow Jackets, a natural rival, and Chicago Bears were always good, and some of the other teams that were really always playing very well so far in the NFL. Of course, the big news items of the year were the Bears pulling somewhat of a fast one and putting the University of Illinois star halfback Red Grange on the field less than a week after he played his last collegiate game, right around Thanksgiving time. I think Illinois played on Thanksgiving Day, and that following Sunday, just a few days later, Red Grange was suited up for the Bears. But the Bears and Grange would famously go on their barnstorming tour near the end of the season and really gave professional football the shot in the arm it needed. We talked about it in some of our guests on with the Chicago Bears visiting the New York Giants with Red Grange. Drew a large crowd at the Polo Grounds and really helped New York start to make money. It was the first time ever. They had 70,000 people in the stands, and they made money for the year, and they wouldn't have done it without Red Grange coming in there. So probably was really a good thing, even though it looked a little bit malicious by George Halas. Now, more on that story in the episode of the Red Grange story with NFL Films' Chris Willis. We have a link to it on Pigskin Dispatch. You can follow it there for this part number 57 of the Football History Rewind. The other story of 1925 season was, of course, the controversy of who was the true champion of the NFL for the season. Famously, the Pottsville Maroons had the best record in the league, which at that time would give them the crown of the NFL. However, they violated the territorial rights of the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets on game day by hosting a team of former Notre Dame stars in an exhibition contest near Philadelphia, while the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets were in Philadelphia having a game of their own. Kind of a conflict of interest. Frankfurt not happy about it. Joe Carr knew about it ahead of time. He was the NFL commissioner at the time, and he warned, Pottsville, don't do it. Don't go into Philadelphia. Play at your home field. Play somewhere else. Don't violate the territorial rights. You can still have your game, but don't violate that. He forewarned them not to do it, but yet they violated his request, and the title was stripped from the Maroons by Joe Carr and company and given to the Chicago Cardinals that year. More on that story on our previous post and podcast of the Pottsville Maroons. Also, we have a link there in this article of part number 57, Football History Rewind, on pigskindispatch.com. Well, that is pretty much it. So the Chicago Cardinals are the champions of the NFL. Red Grange is running strong. And we have some more controversy coming up for the 1926 season. But next time, on part number 58, we will talk about the college season of 1926 and some of the new rules that were put in place for both the college and the pro game. So stay tuned for that. Glad you could join us for this little bit of football history. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you join us each and every day for some more great football and sports history in the Pig Pen. Till tomorrow, everybody, have a great gridiron day. That's all the football history we have today, folks. Join us back tomorrow for more of your football history. We invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. Special thanks to the talents of Mike and Gene Monroe, as well as Jason Neff for letting us use their music during our podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network. your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
It was just another ordinary day in the offices of the Pittsburgh Guardian newspaper circa 1924. But for Marla Delft, assistant editor, everything was about to change. For she was about to discover the awesome attractiveness of Row 1 brand retro sports paraphernalia items thanks to Orville Mulligan, sports writer.
And there it is.
Wow, Orville, that's really the bee's knees.
Isn't it just? A poster-sized replica of the actual 1909 World Series program cover.
I can see that. But where did you get it? And where'd you get it framed?
I ordered it from the Row 1 website, where over 6,000 items of sports memorabilia from the 1880s to the 1990s are available for reproduction, in multiple sizes and in several different materials, with over a dozen styles of frame to choose from for prints like this.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Delft would love to put up more of these in the office. But I'm equally as sure they're beyond this newspaper's budget.
Not at all, my dear Marla. See for yourself. Go to sportshistorynetwork.com/row1.
sportshistorynetwork.com/row1. Oh my, these are good prices. Oh, and look at this stuff. Oklahoma-Nebraska football, college basketball art, Michael Jordan items.
And so it
retro
was that
sports
Marla Delft
advertisement
discovered the
clapboards.
splendiferous magic of Row 1 sports memorabilia, arts, and prints. You can too by visiting sportshistorynetwork.com/row1. That's ROW1 today for access to the full Row 1 catalog of gallery prints and gifts like t-shirts, long-sleeve shirts, telephone cases, coffee mugs, blankets, pillows, towels, and even shower curtains. Act today for 15% discount off all prints with coupon code SHN15 and 20% off all other items with coupon code SHN20 at checkout. And keep your dial locked to the Sports History Network for the exciting chronicles of the 1920 sports world in Orville Mulligan, sports writer. Coming soon.